Hi guys, and welcome to TechFurb. Today we're going to be doing something freaking awesome. I am going to be building a sleeper PC in this OEM guy, but here's the thing. We're going to be using my Ryzen 7 system, so let's get into it. Okay, so what on earth would possess me to do such a thing? Well, I like the idea of a sleeper PC. I know this is cool. You have all the 2017 crap. You have the gold wing window, which is awesome. Yeah. It's got RGB. It's got water cooling, and it has all the tick boxes of cool, fantastic 2018 gaming PC. But I don't really want to do that anymore. I gave it a try. I've never had a high-end system before I had this system here. I've always gone from the budget end, spending, I think the most I ever spent on a build before this one was about $1,000, and that was my first system nearly 10 years ago. So we're going to basically take all these high-end gear. So remember, if you don't know the specs of my main rig here, it's a Ryzen 7 1700. I have it overclocked to 3.7 gigahertz. Only at that speed because of the limitations of the micro ATX motherboard. Its VRM can't push higher than that, which is a real pain in the ass, but gotta wear it, gotta put up with it. So we're going to take the motherboard, the Ryzen 7 out, and we're going to have to abandon the GPU, but we will also take over the 32 gigs of RAM. We'll drop in just another GPU that actually is compatible with the power supply in this case, and I'm not after a gaming system anymore. I could do a GTX 1050 in here and then have this crazy awesome gaming system that looks like an OEM PC, but I don't want that. I want a content creation machine. I want to have a dedicated gaming system as well. So this case and the water cooling setup will probably be repurposed with the awesome motherboard that I have over there that I haven't shown you guys yet. That will probably be in the following video after this one. So yeah, I mean, I'm pretty excited. Let's strip the guts out of this guy, strip the guts out of that guy, dump everything across, and put it all together. Alright guys, so we've finished stripping down the Acer part of the PC now, and we pretty much need to go through and clean up this guy. So we need to get all the Ryzen parts out that we're going to put into the other build over there. So we're going to be pulling out the SSDs, the motherboard, the RAM, the CPU, not the GPU, not the water cooling, not the fans, and not the power supply. So we're pretty much just going to pull out drives and motherboard, RAM, and CPU. So yeah, let's get to it. Alright guys, so it's time to put the PC into the case here. Now we've got it here, it's pretty much stripped out, bare, good to go. So we've got the motherboard over here. So for those of you who don't know, let's go over the specifications. So we've got a MSI Mortar B350 Arctic. This is probably not the best micro ATX board now, but at launch this was the best micro ATX board that you could get for a Ryzen CPU. So at the time I was in a micro ATX case. I didn't have the capacity to go to a full ATX case, so that's why I went with that main board. If it was a different story, I would have had an X370 full ATX board. So didn't work out that way, but we're going to make the most of it. It's got the Ryzen 7 1700 CPU on it, and we also run the Corsair Vengeance LPX 2667 kit of memory. It's DDR4 32 gigabytes, so pretty light and quick, and that's 2x16, so I can go up to 64 in future if I need to, but that would be a bit unnecessary at this stage. So cooling it, we're going back to the stock cooler. We're not going to be able to fit my water cooling rig in this system. It is physically impossible. No amount of modding would fix that problem. So race wire it's going to be. We might be able to get a mild overclock on this guy, but I think I'm going to be running it very close to stock settings with this cooler. Now, as for everything else, we have the two SSDs that will drop into the drive caddy, and that'll fit perfectly. And we also have the 3TB hard drive. We've got the normal Blu-ray and card reader there as well, so that'll do the trick there. And there's only really two specific parts that I need to make this build work, essentially. So the first thing is a 4-pin to 8-pin CPU power adapter. Unfortunately, the power supply in this case is too old for 8 pins, so we've got to adapter it off. It should be fine. It is a 300 watt bronze certified power supply, so it should be enough without a GPU in there as well. So that is nice. We also have the 2.5 inch to 3.5 inch drive adapter, but what's important about this is it has a 2.5 and a 2.5 on both sides, so that is exactly what we need. So that's it. So let's put this guy together. Alright guys, so we've finished the build now, and we need to power it on for the first time. So overall I'm pretty happy with how the PC's gone. It's, you know, it was a reasonably easy build. It felt like I was building just a normal micro ATX case. The only difference was the OEM power connectors, like the front panel connectors. They were a little bit funky, so that was okay. We worked it out. We just dropped it on the way the pinout should work. So the only reason why it might not power on is because it was one cohesive, so it's like one big block, so you just plonk it straight over the top of the IO panel that you normally do, but it's depending on whether the wiring was done correctly. So the power button might, like the power light might not work, the power button might not work, the reset button might not work, the hard drive light might not work, so it's a bit up in the air as to whether it will go. But without further ado, let's see if it powers on, and we'll go from there. Wasn't fantastic. Let's try that again. Alright, that's powering on. Sweet! Let's see if it gets a signal. Remembering as well, I dropped in a GTX 1050 that I had here. Not that I had multiple lying around, I only had the one. But I just decided that, hey, let's do it properly. So I dropped in the 1050. That way I can do a little bit of gaming on it, and it'll help with CUDA acceleration when rendering videos. And hey, we've got power to the screen, so, and it looks like it's going straight into Windows. So job done. I'm pretty happy with that. Let's check the thermals on this guy. Let's run a Cinebench run, and then we're going to shut it down and try a hand at some overclocking on this guy. Alright, so we've got the thermals up now, and it looks like we're hitting 50 degrees on the CPU, but it's going up and down, so it's idling at about 40. So that's good news. That means that it's all hunky-dory. There's no yeah, I mean it's doing what it's supposed to do. So that's good news. Also, I should add as well, we put a fan in the front and a fan at the rear just to help with cooling, because you know it's an 8-core. It does need some form of airflow. So let's run the Cinebench run, and then we'll see what score we get. We'll do a reboot, and then we'll do some overclocking. So yeah, let's do the Cinebench run now. Hey, alright, so we've finished our Cinebench run, and at stock we're getting 1369, which is bang on for a AMD. It's usually about 1370 is about the average, so we're pretty much on it. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that, and I'll check the thermals as well. I mean, it's not going to spike out, but yeah, I mean, full load, 100%, 63 degrees, so it's not spiking hard, which means we have a bit of thermal headroom. I might only put a mild overclock on it. We're going to try for 3.4 or 3.5 all-core overclock. So yeah, let's see what we can do. Alright guys, so mild overclock on now, so we've gone with 1.35 volts on the V-core and 3.4 on the CPU. So remembering when I was on water cooling it was at 3.7, so we're just a smidgen under what that was. Now I think we can get it a little bit higher, but usually with overclocking you want to just go incrementally. So I have got my RAM overclock applied now as well, so the RAM is running at 2800 megahertz. I found with this RAM kit that I can't get it any higher than that, so that's kind of the maximum that I can achieve. But overall I'm pretty satisfied with how the overclock has gone. So let's see if we can, I don't really want the CPU to go any higher than 80C, so if we're exceeding that or we're hitting that, that's kind of where I'm going to kill it. So we're going to go 3.4 if that's the case. But without further ado, let's see how the overclock went. Alright, so we're stressing the CPU now with a utility like called Power Max. It's released by CPU ID. Got a little bit of software. Now, as we can see, the core clocks are going quite high there, so 89C. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. I'm not happy with this. I think we're going to have to ramp down the overclock a little. Okay, so we're trying the 3.4 gigahertz overclock still, but we've dropped the voltage to 1.325 this time. Now the reason why you would drop the voltage if you haven't done much overclocking before, the part that generates temperatures is not the frequency the CPU runs at, it's actually the voltage and a combination of a couple of other things. But when you're overclocking, you want to get the voltage as low as you possibly can, because that means the temperatures will be lower. So we're going to try and stick with the 3.4, but we're going to go with a lower voltage. So let's see how it goes. Okay, so immediately we're back up into the 90s, so I think we're going to have to drop the voltage just a little bit more again. Alright, so we're trying 1.25 volts now this time. We've gone a little bit edgy, so for reference, the Ryzen 7 1700, so first generation Ryzen series, I don't know about second gen. First gen, the stock voltage is 1.2 volts. It's been so long since I've run a stock that I actually forgot that. But after looking it up, I realised that I can drop the voltage quite a bit lower. So we're going to try 3.4 gigahertz with 1.25 volts, and in theory that should give us respectable temperatures. So let's see how it goes. Alright, so we're hitting it with the Power Max workload again, and this time we're not seeing the massive temperature spikes. It is up there, it looks like it's stabilising at about 86C, so we'll just run this test for about 5 minutes, and we'll see where the temperature comes out. Okay, so we're hitting 90C after about a minute in, so I think we're going to drop the voltage again. Alright, so we've gone for bravery and we've actually dropped it to the stock voltage of 1.2, so this might not even post, but oh, it has posted, okay, made a liar out of me. I think we're going to get into the territory of, so this is the thing with voltages when you're overclocking if you're not familiar. So the reason why you increase the voltages is because while it might post at a stock voltage, as soon as you put full load through the CPU, it might not actually be able to pull enough power. So that's kind of why you keep increasing the CPU V-core. So usually the way I do overclocking, I'm by no means an expert at it. I've done a lot of overclocking, so I've got a reasonable amount of experience. But the reason why you start so high then work backwards is because you're just trying to verify what the maximum that a CPU can do. So you want to know, okay, what's the maximum frequency I can get out of the CPU, and what's the maximum V-core I can run it at without overheating everything. So when I had my water cooling set up on it, it was running at 1.4 volts and 3.7 gigahertz sustained. Unfortunately, the VRAM, the VRM, sorry, VRM could not cope with anything higher than that, so I had to throttle it down from there. So, but anyway, moral of the story is we're now on the stock cooler, so let's see the stock voltages sustains at 3.4. Alright, so stop going up now, so it's sort of leveling off at 89 degrees Celsius, so I wouldn't expect it to go up much more than that unless the cooler was completely overloaded. I mean, it's gone up to 90 now, but I'm pretty happy with that, so I would consider that stable enough for a Cinebench run. So, let's go for Cinebench. Alright guys, so we finished the Cinebench run there. It's a 1491, so I'm pretty happy with the results in that. Overall, maybe just a mild overclock. I could possibly push for a little more, but you don't want to bite off more than you can chew with the stock overclocks. So I was thinking of rounding out the video here, but I thought, hey, we've got a GTX 1050 in this thing, so maybe we can do some benchmarking with it. So yeah, we'll do that, and I might also do my Premiere benchmark for you guys, because you're probably curious how a Ryzen system stacks up against all this other stuff that I'm benchmarking, so let's go and do that. Aha, benchmarks are done! Alright, so I only did 4 in total, and this is including Cinebench, so I did my Premiere benchmark. I just kind of wanted to compare it to everything else. Now, bearing in mind that I don't have any current benchmarks of like a 3rd or a 2nd gen i7, so anything that's a bit more modern or a bit more high end. I've only got really the older stuff at the moment because I've updated my benchmarks, and unfortunately that makes all of the old benchmarks that I used in the past redundant, so kind of sucks. But just to give you some raw numbers, and again remembering that the i5 760 that will be displayed in this chart and the i3 2100, they were paired with an RX 480, so they've got a GPU advantage, but again they're going to bottleneck that GPU, they're not going to max it out. So without further ado, we're going to look at a gaming benchmark first. So we've got Star Wars Battlefront 2, and we had a average of 77 frames per second on the Ryzen 7 system, again just checking the other numbers below as well, and 1% lows of 62 and 0.1% lows of 55, so completely playable. This is on the maximum settings, 1080p for this game as well, and I was pretty overall pretty pleased with again this tiny little it's a sleeper PC. It's not in full pelt. It would be obviously a lot faster if it was paired up with the RX 480 that normally is with, and it's in its normal water cooling state where I'm able to maximise that overclock. So not at 100% beans from what it normally is, but you know what, it's pretty good for a sleeper PC. Next we have the F1 2015. It's an older game now, it's about 3 years old, I understand this, but it's much like Crysis 3, just hung in there for a long time as a benchmark. F1 2015 is the same. It's very intensive on CPUs. It's why I keep it in the benchmark suite. It's purely because it's a good way to demonstrate a CPU's weakness. And as you can see from the charts, even though it's with a much weaker GPU that has, well, it's only got 2 gig of VRAM, so, it's pretty much kneecapped compared to the RX 480 when it comes to benchmarking, but it destroyed its competition. So 50 frames per second average, again 1080p Ultra, maximum settings that we can get on this game, and 1% lows of 38 and 0.1% lows of 36. So yeah, I mean, you know what, for a 1052 gig, it's doing pretty good. Again, absolute sleeper PC, you roll up to a LAN with this, it's going to cream not everything there because everyone's going to have high-end gear, but it's just going to blow people's minds when you roll up this crappy old Acer and they think, what the heck is going on with this? Why have you got an Acer? And then it just destroys the competition. So then we had the Premiere CS6, and this is where the grunt of the not the i7, the Ryzen 7 just stretches its legs and shows, you know, what a course can do. I might add as well, I was watching the CPU usage and it didn't get above 50%, so Premiere is not maxing out the full potential of the Ryzen CPU, which is a frustrating point, but it is CS6, so it's not optimized for, I guess, the more modern CPUs. Not saying that Creative Cloud is either, it's kind of a bit rubbish. So anyway, 656 seconds, so it's 10 minutes and 56 seconds if you didn't know, and that is lightning fast compared to the competition. It's almost in real time. The actual video footage itself is around 7 to 8 minutes, so nearly real-time 1080p footage, remembering as well that it's editing at the highest bitrate possible that this camera can do. So yeah, there's no there's no compression there. It's fully raw 1080p footage that comes off this camera. So overall pretty happy, and of course the Cinebench results I mentioned before, 1491, utterly destroys its competition. Again, 8 cores, 16 threads, kind of expected. Now, the ironic thing is, the i5 760 that's in these benchmarks is what would have ran in this old PC. So you're kind of seeing the jump in just raw CPU performance that I've got there. So overall, I'm pretty stoked with how it's gone. It's been a phenomenal experience. So I'm pleased with it overall. So thanks for watching, guys. Leave a like if you liked it, leave a dislike if you disliked it, comments down below if you have any questions about it or any feedback, and yeah, I mean, this build was more about a bit of fun for me, and you know, I thought, hey, why not make a video out of it? It's something cool. I don't think anyone on YouTube, maybe someone's done this, but I'm pretty pleased with it. It's something unique for me, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching it.